Hello and welcome to Take 3 with PT. This is a YouTube series where I take 3 minutes to answer a biblical, practical, theological question. Today's question is, what is the dark night of the soul? Well, this phrase, dark night of the soul, was something that we tie to St. John of the Cross, who came up with this term to describe a period in life where God seems distant, where God seems unavailable, where God has withdrawn from us many of those comforts that we so often appreciate, his presence, the people that he gives us in our lives to encourage us and move us forward, physical health, financial wealth, all these kind of things, they seem to be withdrawn, and we're left in this dark phase where God seems absent. That is the dark night of the soul. So John of the Cross is the one who is acknowledged as the author of this term, but the idea actually has its roots in Scripture. In fact, I could take you all the way back to some of the earliest characters in Scripture and make a case for the dark night of the soul. Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son. Now we know that Abraham had waited years for this promised son to come. And then God tells him to sacrifice his son on the altar. I want to suggest to you that that was a dark night of the soul. Abraham had this long waiting period, and now God says, by the way, I want you to give up the comfort and promise of your son. That would have been a dark night of the soul. Moses was told that he was going to be a deliverer for Egypt, and then he takes it into his own hands, kills an Egyptian, does it the wrong way, finds out Pharaoh's going to go after him, runs off into the wilderness. 40 years passes. 40 years where he's away from the Hebrew people, 40 years where that promise that God made for him being a deliverer isn't fulfilled. And I want to suggest that that was probably for Moses a dark night of the soul. David, who was promised to be the anointed king, has to run away and hide from King Saul, who's trying to kill him. There's story after story like that. You read in some of David's Psalms him crying out to God saying, "How long, O Lord? How long, O Lord?" Psalm 88, not by David, is another one that is a dark night of the soul. It's the darkest of all the Psalms. It's pretty much one of a few Psalms that doesn't resolve with a word of trust at the end, saying, "This is so hard, this is so bad, how could you let this happen, God? But I trust you." Psalm 88, they don't say, "I trust you." But the fact that he's crying out to God in the darkness suggests that there's still an element of trust here. That's the key to the dark night of the soul. God may not feel present. God may not feel like he's listening. God may not feel like he's giving to you what you're asking for. In fact, he might seem like he's withholding from you promises or gifts or opportunities. But we still cry out. We still trust. We still grope in the darkness, thinking that at some point God's going to break through and offer to us his comforts. Jesus experienced a dark night of the soul as well, and it says in Hebrews, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. That was a dark night for him, but he fixed his eyes on his Father, and we are to fix our eyes on Jesus in our dark nights as well. They are great times for growth, even if they're hard times to go through.